hips? Hips and shoulders, knees and toes. Actually, we could do some feet stuff as well. And I didn't say good morning to Gillian. Hi, Gillian. Sorry. So we're live, hopefully, on YouTube and Facebook. Morning if you're joining on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see if we can get going on Instagram. We're live on Instagram, so welcome if you're joining on Instagram. Hopefully, we had some issues with the internet on Monday, and it just cut out a few times this morning as well, so hopefully it stays, but stay with us. Wednesday morning, we focus a little bit more on movement. We're going to focus on hips, shoulders, spine, and maybe do a little bit of work on the feet. Let's see how we get on for the next half hour. As always, we're going to start off with some mobilization of the spine, knocking. Always a good one to start with. So your feet are shoulder width apart. Make sure you've got a good stable base of support. Softness in the knees. We're not locking the knees out, soft in the knees. We're moving from the hips and the waist, from the center, and you're just relaxing the shoulders. And keeping that spine tall, long spine. So you're visualizing your spine or visualizing a center line down the center of the body, crown of the head through the body, and you're rotating around that center line. Breath is just very soft. Easy in and out through the nose. Remember getting that spine strong, the muscles around the spine toned, but also having that flexibility, that combination of strength and flexibility, strength and softness, so key to your everyday movement, how you walk, how you maybe run a little bit, how you twist, how you turn, how you sit down, how you stand up, how you get out of bed. And then slowing this down, adding that little bit of resistance. So it's like imagining the air is a little bit denser around you. You don't want to disturb it. I went out, I think it was yesterday morning, and it was foggy. I quite like the fog because it's quiet and there's not many people around. And it's almost like you're running your hand through clouds or water or the fog. So there's that little bit of resistance. You don't want to disturb it, so go really slowly. Soften into the elbows, soften into the fingers. Feel that rotation in the shoulder joints as well, so the shoulders will rotate. And maybe you can just slow the breath down a little bit. Still keeping it very light, soft in and out through the nose. And take a rest. Standing tall for a moment. Let's just bring our feet hip width and just take a moment just to stand nice and tall without being rigid. And then we're stepping out again, shoulder width apart. The reason why we go a little bit wider is it gives you a really good base of support. To think when we do the bamboo in the wind at the end, we bring our feet close together, and the reason is that so it gives us a smaller base of support, so you can let your body rock and sway. So if you go a little bit wider, you get nice and solid and strong through the lower body. You're going to do a spine roll. So we're tilting the pelvis and spilling out forward. The spine follows, chin leads, and then we just do that little roll. We tuck the pelvis underneath and then we roll back up. So just very gentle roll, tilt forwards, roll back up. Remember to lead with the center. So I'm going to show you from the side. You're leading from the pelvis tilts. Spine follows, and then the pelvis tucks under. You squeeze the bum, squeeze the glutes, and you do that little roll up. And I highlight this every time, but remember, we're not pushing, we're not forcing, we're just encouraging. Encouraging is a good word, encouraging that fascia to lengthen, the ligaments, the tendons. If you imagine plasticine, you don't just want to pull it while it's cold, you just make it malleable, and then you can encourage it to lengthen. And that's what we're looking to achieve here, just some very slow, steady movements. Doesn't have to be a big movement. And of course, if you have any pain, then you stop. It's not about pushing through pain. You're keeping the knees soft here, but the legs are pretty straight, so you should get a very gentle lengthening of the hamstrings as well. So this is a nice one to do maybe after a walk, after a run, or even before a walk, before a run. Shoulders are just very relaxed. Just do 2 more. And take a rest. Again, just take a minute just to bring the feet hip width and stand tall. See how that feels. How does the spine feel? If you need to shake anything out, shake anything out. And then we'll go back, shoulder width, nice base of support. One palm facing the ground. So a little bit of resistance again. Imagine that you're just pushing something down, but we're still keeping that roundness in the elbow. I'm not forcing stuff down there. The shoulders stay parallel, the hips stay parallel. So we're pushing down with one palm, and then we're pushing up and connecting to the sky, earth down there, sky up there. And again, you keep that little bit of roundness in the elbow. Create a little bit of tension as well, or tone is maybe a nice word. Create a little bit of tone. So I'm not just sticking my hand up there, I've got that little bit of tension. I'm gently pressing, creating a little bit of resistance up there. And then we are going to swap. And the way we swap is we bring little finger towards little finger down the center. And we do a little spiral and we swap. And then we swap. So we're doing a little bit of a flow where there's no start and there's no stop to the movement. So I'm not stopping here, I'm returning. See if we can keep that flow of the movement going. So there's no stop. It's like, imagine if you throw a ball up in the air, it doesn't stop and then return. It slows down and then starts to fall. So that's the feeling I want you to get. I want you to feel it easing in and out. The clue is in the word flow. It's flowing. There's no edges. And then as you've got the flow of movement, get the flow of breath, breathing in and expanding. And breathing out, softening. And then breathing in. And breathing out. And let your breath guide the movement, so you don't necessarily have to follow my rhythm. Find your rhythm, where the breathing is very natural, effortless, rhythmical. There's no rush. We tend to be in a rush or counting reps when we're exercising. Really take your time. Explore every little part of the movement rather than thinking about getting to the beginning or the end of a movement. And then we'll add into that, or this, when we get to the top, we're just going to put in a little side bend so we get that nice lengthening, encouraging the length of the rib cage. So a little side bend. Again, we're still not holding or stopping. Lengthen first, make sure you lengthen first and then reaching over. Making sure your shoulder stays down, so I'm not hiking this shoulder up, not doing that. Shoulder stays down. We feel that length at the side of the rib cage. Your pelvis as well stays parallel to the ground. So again, if you imagine you had a spirit level on your pelvis, there's no movement through the pelvis. So you get in that lengthening of the fascia, the rib cage. Still breathing with the movement as well. Let's do one more to each side. Remember to lengthen first and then come back to the center. So we've done our spine rotation, flexion and extension, and lateral flexion, just in a slightly different way to how we've done it before. And then we can have a little bit of a shake out, shaking the hands, shaking the fingers, shaking the shoulders. Got a little creak there. My shoulder blades, tapping the heels into the ground. Let's do a little bit of cleansing and clearing with the breath. So taking in a nice, calm, full breath. Think of it as a morning wake up. It's a dark day, but it's a lovely day. Breathing in. And good old shake. And then slowing it down, slowing it down, slowing it down. Just give yourself that moment. Open up the shoulders, feeling the tingling sensations. Letting the breath calm, letting the breath settle. Good, and then bringing the feet again, hip width apart this time. We're going to do a leg swing. Make sure you have got space behind you. So just have a little look behind you. Because what I don't want you to do is whack your heel on anything. And we're going to stabilize on one side of the body. We're going to lift the opposite leg off the ground with the hip that we're stabilizing on. And then just give the leg a gentle swing. So it's like you've got a string just pulling that heel of the swing leg. And if you need to balance, you can use your two tigers, or if you want to hold onto a wall or hold onto a chair, that's fine. Yes, it is a balance exercise if you want to make it a balance exercise too, but I'm more focused on just opening up this swing leg. So just let this leg be free. It's nice and easy. And the emphasis of the action is to go back. So you're taking the leg back and then you're just letting it relax forwards. Those two words we used to use in Chi running years ago, thinking of back and relax, back and relax. We use that with the elbows, back and relax. But it's a nice little focus. So the action or the energy is taking, as I'm falling over, is taking that leg back and then just letting it go. Free leg, just freeing up that leg. And wobbling and stuff like that is fine, it's great, it's getting the brain working. And then take a rest. Balance evenly. We'll go on the opposite leg. So remember, you've got a strong side of the body. This side of the body is stabilizing. And then we're freeing up that hip, taking the leg back and then just letting it go. Think of bow and arrow. You pull it back, there's the action, and then you let go. You don't have to drive that leg forwards. It just naturally swings forwards. Think about when you're using a swing. If you pull a swing back, you let it go, a little bit of a push, but you don't have to, there's no mechanical energy driving it forwards, it's just swinging forwards. So really freeing up that swing leg, freeing up the hip. Just making sure that you're strong on the side that you're stabilizing on, but you're not over tightening. So making sure that you're not gripping too hard with the feet. There's still a little bit of softness in the knee. You're not locking that leg out. And then take a rest. Have a little shake out if you need to shake out. And then a little bit more challenging is we're going to swing across. So we're going to swing a leg in front of the opposite leg. So again, stabilizing side. Use the whole side. Don't just think of the leg. Think of that whole side of the body, the spine, etc. And then just swing across. So the action is taking the leg out and then you just let that go and it swings across. And you might find one side is a little bit easier than the other side. Certainly this is my right hip, it just feels a little bit more clunky, a little bit more sticky. And again, you can use a wall if you want to, because the focus mainly is on this leg swing. But if you want to challenge the balance, it's a fun one to challenge your balance with as well. So swinging that leg across. Again, making sure you've got nothing where you're going to whack your ankle on it. I did this once in the studio, I swung my leg back and there was a kettlebell. It went right into my heel and you get that like ting, that funny bone. And I felt that for a few weeks. So swinging the leg, not swinging the lead. And then take a rest. Give yourself a moment, always nice to have that little moment in between just to balance, see how it feels. And then strong side, balance, swing across the front. And as always, if there's any pain, if there's anything that's hurting, you just stop. Oh, wobbling over. And take a rest. One more, I think my favourite one for the leg swing is where we swing across and let it drop. But when I say let drop, I don't mean just crash it down, but it is just letting that go. But you're stepping down. So swing across. So we get in some really nice rotation, internal rotation, external rotation of the hips. Always get clunks when I'm doing this one. Remember to keep that spine strong, upper body strong and tall. Let's do one more on each side. And then have a good shake out your ankles. Shake out the hip. Feels good in the legs, should feel really nice in the legs. Great as a warm up if you're going out walking, going out running. Let's do a little bit more on the hips now, but adding a little bit of resistance so that we add a little bit of strength to the movement as well. So we go a little bit wider. Wider than shoulder width. We're going to turn the feet out slightly, and we're going to imagine that you've got a little weight or a little plumb line on your tailbone. So I'm not going into a squat, I'm not going to sit down like this. I'm going from, I don't know why I turned around then. I'm going from there and I'm just bending the knees so the knees go in line with the toes, but I've got that pelvis level, neutral-ish spine. So I'm just going down and opening up the hips in that way. So see the difference between squat or almost like a squat down as opposed to, I'm not tucking, I don't want to tighten the glutes too much, but I've got that little bit of weight, plumb line on that tailbone coming down. I keep that spine tall. So you really feel that in the hip sockets, hopefully. And then we're going to do a little hip circle. So it's a very small movement. So we're taking the hip to the side, back, you're tilting and spilling out the back a little bit, to the opposite side. So you can hardly see me. I'm doing this type of movement, but very small. It's like you're drawing a circle with the plumb line from your tailbone. And it works when you go a little bit wider on the legs and when you have the knees going over the toes. Watch the knees aren't doing this. So knees gliding over the toes, circling. You can put your hands on your hips if that helps a little bit. And what is good about this is you're helping to strengthen, combine that strength and flexibility. So going in one direction, tiny movement. And then changing direction. Good. And then very slowly come up to standing. And again, just have that little bit of a shake out. Done a lot of work on the hips. Let's just finish off with some work on the shoulders. So we've done this before, where you bring your fingers together like that. Find that little space underneath the collarbone. Find your collarbone, then there's a little gap there. Keep your fingers in there, and then just draw big circles with the elbows. So I'm not lifting the shoulders, I'm not doing any work here with the shoulders, I'm just drawing big circles with the elbows. And I'm also getting some movement through the spine. So remember how we've just done that little spine roll? I'm getting some movement here through my upper back, through my thoracic spine. You'll also get some movement through the rest of the body as well. Don't just feel as if you just have to isolate the shoulders. You can sink down a little bit, you can come up a little bit taller. But watch that we're not tightening everything up here. So just keep it nice and relaxed. So we're not pushing beyond our pretty comfortable range of motion. Remember, if you push too hard, or if you stretch too much, the body just tightens up. It just goes, no, I don't want to go there. So you want to encourage the lengthening of the fascia, encourage the movement through the shoulders. Just do it really gently. Be very kind to yourself. It's not about forcing and pushing and pain. Let's change direction. If you've been going forwards, go backwards. If you've been going backwards, go forwards. And then we can do a little bit of paddling. So here we get in that rotation through the spine as well. You can lead with the hip, so that hip can come forwards. The hip can bring the shoulder forwards. So we get that whole body involved. Going in the opposite direction. Get that almost like figure of 8 through the hips, which is quite nice. You can get that rib cage moving side to side, so you can make it a bigger movement. And we can slow it down. Have a little bit of a shake. Let's actually finish. It's gone really quick this morning. Have a little bit of a finish off with a shake, actually. So shaking out, do some cleansing and clearing. Wake the neighbours up. You can make some noise if you want to make some noise. Taking a breath in. Letting go. Good old shake, good old shake, good old shake. Slowing it down. Palms facing the front. Letting everything settle. Just letting the breath slow naturally. Open up the palms. Really have a focus on the palms, on the inside of the hands. Then bringing the palms above the head, pressing the palms together. A little bit of tension there, a little bit of resistance. Bending the elbows back, and then just giving yourself a gentle brush down the body. Giving your tummy a rub. You are ready for the rest of your day, week, and life. Brilliant. Appreciate that. Thanks for jumping in, and I will see you on Monday when we'll be doing a little bit more focus on the breath. As always, if there's anything in particular you want to go over, please send me a message, and we can cover those in the sessions as well. Have a great day. Thanks for joining. See you next week. Bye. Thank you. Bye.